Hello everybody, this is Commissar here, and today I have a special treat for you because the MLG Orlando replays have actually been released, and I have got pretty well in there before it seems the other casters have, and I've got a pretty special game, well, pretty special lineup at least for today's game, being that today's match is between Team Liquid's TLO, the little one, and he is spawning in the top right hand side of the map, and down in the bottom left we do happen to have our red ZvT player, e.g. Idra. So obviously these two players don't really need much of an introduction. They're probably two of the three most well-known Westerners, maybe the other one being Huck, I don't know, they're up there, they're super famous, their streams always have thousands and thousands and thousands of people watching them whenever they're online, so it's pretty awesome that I get to cast these two today. Okay, so this was from the MLG Orlando pool play. This is a best of 3 series, and this is game number 1. And obviously MLG Orlando was not too long ago, so I'm very happy that MLG have released these replays already, as opposed to taking like a few months like they did for the previous MLG events before this one. So that's very good. So very good, nice work. Thank you definitely to MLG for doing that. Okay, so we do happen to have, it looks like TLO is going to open up with a fast expansion. He made his first supply depot on the low ground, his first barracks also on the low ground. That will also slightly reduce the rush distance if he wants to go for any sort of early marine pressure. So perhaps a potential to go for a 2 racks opening into fast expand, something like that. And meanwhile we do happen to see Idra going straight for his 14 hatch actually, sorry. Yep, so 14 hatch I believe is a little bit safer than 15 hatch. I think actually Idra favors the 14 hatch. Now that I think about it, I've seen him do it quite a lot, just generally when he's been playing recently. He does it pretty well every game. I think it is to help him deal with 2-racks play, because it allows him to get his spawning pull up a little bit earlier. And you can see 14 hatch, 14 pull means that it won't be very long until he's got speedlings out, and, well, zerglings out, not speedlings. And yeah, as you can see, the first marine hasn't even popped out yet, so he should be completely fine to deal with that, especially on cross positions on a map as large as the Shattered Temple. Okay, so going into these two players' ranks a little bit, we do have TLO mining 1 gas geyser, by the way. No gas actually for Idra at this point. And these two players' ranks at the moment, obviously the Grandmaster League hasn't come out in Season 4 yet. And Idra is ranked he's number 1 in his Master League with a 75% win rate, so he's having a very easy time on the ladder. He'd probably win more if he played harder, but he actually throws a lot of matches on the ladder. And TLO, meanwhile, he's been struggling. He's only got 18 wins, 17 losses. So he's in a bit of a spot right now. He's struggling to get back to a really high level of play. He's been struggling for quite a while. Basically, ever since he's been injured, he has never been at the top level, which he used to be at. There's bunker actually going down, by the way. This Overlord, I think, is what spotted it, so that will actually be shut down. And the SCV will be kept alive. The SCV is going to try and come back later to complete it, but it looks like TLO isn't even going to try and hold this off. I'm not sure if he saw anything, or he didn't do any scouting. He just decided that it wasn't going to work, and is just going to leave this bunker out here. Probably going to cause a few extra links to be produced, but no, Idra not even overreacting. I think the intention there from TLO was to force his opponent to overproduce a little bit in terms of lings, because if he thought a big bunker rush was on the way, but you might actually have noticed that Idra only produced 4 lings, just a standard number if no pressure was coming. So very good play there by Idra. TLO applying a little bit of pressure, didn't really achieve very much, and also a nice scout there by Idra is going to reveal that expansion, going to reveal that factory timing, and you'd have to assume that Hellions would be on the way, if there's no add-on being added onto that factory when you do scout it. So meanwhile, just 1 gas geyser this whole time being mined by TLO. He's just been continuing to pump out SCVs, and is what? How far is he behind? He's not behind, actually. So that's a little bit unusual. I expect him to be a little bit behind at least in SCVs at this point, but I'm sure he will slip behind very quickly from this point in, because if I go to the units tab, there are only still 3 links on the map, so bit interesting there. I'm sure that's pretty normal though anyway. Okay, so, excuse me, TLO we do happen to see moving into this 1 Hellion, more of a scout than trying to do damage. Obviously with that blue flame or anything, 1 Hellion isn't going to do much damage. It can kill quite a few lings just by cutting them. As you can see, it's basically paid for itself. Units lost shows it has actually paid for itself with 6 kills. So it's doing a decent actual amount of damage, as well as getting a complete scout of the main of Idra. And you can see actually dodging the Queen and getting it away there. So very good. Very useful Hellion there. It's going to keep seeing everything. Idra's not going to want to take up at all, not going to want to throw down any buildings until he gets rid of this Hellion. So it is doing significant damage, potentially delaying Idra's tech plan, although looking at his amount of gas, unless he's planning to throw down a Roach Warren, then nothing too significant is being delayed at all. Okay, so the Hellion is finally going to be cleaned out with I think 7 kills in the end there. Yeah, 7. So that was very, very effective, a little opening. And you'll notice he isn't actually going for reactor Hellions at all this game, just been pumping out one at a time. So he's obviously working with this build instead of going for the standard reactor. It is going to save him that 50 gas, that 50 minerals, and a little bit of time on the reactor building time. So it's not necessarily very bad. It just isn't very standard. I guess that means he's not going to go very heavy into Hellions at all without getting either of a reactor or a tech lab for Blue Flame onto those Hellions. Okay, so we do see the evolution chamber, is now gone down, and the layer is going down. So it looks like Idra is going to be skipping roaches altogether, which is an interesting move, I think, because usually the response to a lot of Hellions would be to get roaches, or at least to get Zugging speed. Zugging speed is up, but really I think it would be a lot better if you did have roaches, just feel that it's a lot easier, it's very safe, just in case your opponent did go for a big push. In this case, because TLO is only going for this one Hellion at a time, it probably won't be a big issue for Idra, and I'd expect him to be able to hold here. Just gonna probably lose a few unnecessarily lings. Depends just how brave TLO is feeling. He might be trying to just deny an expansion, a quick third of Idra, but Idra can always break down these back rocks and take it this way, so it's not really going to achieve anything very much on this map. Okay, so just gonna watch the front, I guess. Scouting, not gonna deny anything really, just gonna cause these rocks to be knocked down, I suspect. But here we do see a significant push coming out of TLO. He does have Sim, he does have a couple of Marines, a couple of Marauders. One medevac is coming out now, so it's going to probably join the set attack. No more than that, so the Sim will damage the units of TLO significantly. It will not be as strong as if that one medevacs, obviously, because obviously the unit's gonna be on lower health on their Stim. But if you look at the army composition of TLO, of Idra, he's only getting a few banelings, a few lings. He's pumping out 12 at a time now at the moment. He doesn't have enough on the field yet, so TLO just needs to push quite quickly, and he is going to push into the back of the base of his opponent, going to do some elevator play with this single medevac, and he has enough units on the low ground to cover the unloading, I believe. So he just needs to go in there, and he's hesitating quite a lot here, and as you can see, Idri's just been allowed to pump out a lot of units and do what he wants to do, and it appears that that was TLO's intention. It seems like TLO wasn't actually quite comfortable pushing in at that point. I'm not quite sure why, possibly just wants to have tanks before he has any sort of big pressure, but he did force Idra to make a lot of units there, so Idra does have a significant army count. And yeah, if I go to the army supply tab, you'll see 26 supply, so Idra doesn't have as much supply in terms of the army as his opponent, but he's not too far ahead in work. His 15 ahead is still significant, but it is some damage being dealt there by TLO by not even really moving in it at all. Okay, so we are seeing rallying back to the main for some reason on the orbitals. I guess that means that he transferred over too many units earlier, and maybe just keeping a few extra at the natural to try and repair if there was a big push from TLO. That's my suspicion, but he is supply blocked. He's been supply blocked a few times I've noticed this game, so a bit of it is a bit disappointing to see that sort of stuff. But he is getting a Thor out, and I don't like this at all. He is getting a Thor with mutas a lot, but TLO will not be able to push out at all unless he has siege tanks, because really just mass lings can kill Marine, Marauder, Thor. They can just get stranded, just completely massed out, swarmed really. And while the Thor is good against the mutas, 3 at a time, I think before any siege tanks is probably a little bit excessive, so I'll have to see how that works out for TLO. My suspicion is it won't work out too well until he gets any siege tanks, and here come the mutas, going to try and cause some damage, going to try and focus down the tech labs, I'd assume. No, not really focusing on anything in particular, just a couple of Marines actually scaring them away. The mutas always could have turned around and killed those 3 Marines without taking a single loss. I think lots of players need to get more confident in doing moves like that, and you can see that there is the attack level 1 for the vehicles on the way for TLO. Meanwhile, the upgrades for Idra are 1 attack for his ground units and 1 attack on the Mutalisk, so the Mutaling build is looking fine, and Idra is taking a 3rd and 4th base simultaneously, so he's macroing up quite a lot. At the moment, TLO is ahead in food, but of course when those bases kick in, we will see Idra pull way ahead, and really what we need to see from TLO right now is possibly knocking down these back rocks, going for an expansion. Probably better to go for the high yield and then get a planetary there, but it's not happening yet. Idra knows it's not happening yet because he has really good scouting, so I guess it's up to TLO to make something happen, because if Idra's allowed to macro up the way he is planning to right about now, it won't end very well for TLO. So we'll have to wait and see what TLO does decide to do. Now getting a siege count up, which is very good to see, and he does have siege mode just finishing, so he is pretty safe at the moment, and his army is looking really strong. Should probably go for some sort of push, because he's just been sitting back and turtling this whole time of 2 bases against a player like Idra. I don't think that's very good. Maybe it shows a little bit of a lack of confidence from TLO, and here we go. Magic boxing on this Thor, it goes down straight away. So that is the power of mutas. I mean, Thors are good, but if mutas can kill them so easily, it's not really good enough anymore to just keep one Thor at each other, or mineral lines or something to protect your base. It needs mass repair. There you go, the Hellions also going down to free. TLO is splitting up his army too much, and this is not going well for TLO. He is making quite a few mistakes. I don't know if the siege count is high enough. 4 may be enough. It's a little bit questionable though, and we are seeing him collect some creep tombs, which is very good to see. Always collect creep before you engage, and not going to move out and kill those 3. He should have really killed those 3 tombs, I think, before pulling back, just because obviously killing creep is good. And he does have the map vision though with that tower. I don't think he sees these mutas, but they are going to come in for the flank. He should be able to react to this in time, and yes, he will, getting a Thor shot off on the wrong mutalisk. Not on its own, so no splash damage was dealt there. And you can see Idra is splitting up his forces for a big flank. He is going to try and surround and kill this force before charge complete. It looks like so. We'll have to wait and see if he does commit to that. Maybe just getting ready in case TLO decides to push forward himself, but in the meanwhile going to go back and harass the base of TLO, it looks like, just to try and hurt him when he does move out. But TLO was on top of that. He did move his units back a little bit, but sniping 1 SCV there, going to lay that next to the turret too. And here we go, coming back into the main of TLO. He does have a few turrets, but not enough to take out a flock of meters quite this large. And as you can see, this factory will actually go down. So very good damage being dealt there. A few Marines are being pulled out back by TLO to deal with this, but he did take a lot of damage there, which he didn't really need to do. The Tekla will survive potentially if he repairs it, but no, it looks like he will. He's just going to move out and clear out some creep. But here come a few units. A nice little hot pick up there is going to mean they didn't do very much damage. But here is one siege shank getting put out of way out of position, and the others are being flanked. And there are not enough Marines on the ground. The Marines and Motors were all back here, not doing anything much in particular. And as a result, Idra has caught the whole army of TLO completely out of position, and is going to clean that up with such ease that that will be the end of the game. So TLO playing a very disappointing match, I think, in that first game. Idra playing very, very slowly, just going to macro up steadily. He did have this third mining very, very well. The fourth, obviously no mining, just a macro hatch basically at this stage, and just complete annihilation there. I mean, it was good of Idra to harass with the units at the back, but really just coming so out of position. When you do want to go at basically and kill mutas or something with your big ball of Marines, you can't just take your bio ball away from your army. I mean, look, if all you have is what arm concept do you have? So if all you have is siege tanks and not much else, it's not going to help you at all. So just going to show you exactly what happened at the end there. And yeah, we just have the big ball of TLO just sitting back here. At this point he's okay, but he pulls back literally at the second Chester's mutas that the battle starts. So he pulled back these units way too far. Yes, it's good to pull your units behind the siege tank line when Bailing's going to come in, but at this point he pulled them back way too far, and he didn't have enough units in the first place because he only had 2 bases that entire time. So a disappointing game from TLO, I think, in that game 1 of this best of 3 series. There will be more games on the way, though. TLO didn't necessarily play a bad tournament. Say I watched his games against Boxer, and he played phenomenally well, so I think he can do a lot better than that, and hopefully he will bring that into the table in the second game. Very good game by Idra. TLO, overall, he was playing okay, but there were just a lot of mistakes in at the end, way out of position, and it obviously didn't work out for him. So anyway, thanks for watching, and thank you very much for the ads that are now appearing on my videos, which I'll mention a bit in the second game, because I left it too late, and I should really say that sort of stuff to kill time at the start of a game, which is always going to help me out, because I don't have much to talk about in the start of the second game. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next cast, which will come in just a moment.